It started as a quiet rumor, a stylish figure gliding through the spinning doors of the Hotel Plaza Athen, wrapped in sharp Dior tailoring and the soft, dim glow of a Parisian dusk in December. The date was December 20th, 2025. The occasion was Dior's Confidential Winter, 2025. Reveal a private fashion event for global, elite style icons and billion-dollar brand reps. Then the pictures dropped. Blurry at. The start zoomed in through rain-slicked lenses, and the shaky smartphones of wide-eyed influencers. The shots went viral. Across TikTok and Twitter with one bombshell claim, Princess Catherine is in Paris. But she wasn't. While social media blew up with conspiracy theories and tabloids guessed at a secret royal fashion trip, Princess Catherine was actually hosting an untelevised holiday party for families in need at a community hub in Birmingham, England, right at that moment. Verified pictures, local reporters, and a security officer's GPS-tracked logbook later proved she was there beyond a doubt. So, who exactly was the woman sitting front row at Dior? Why was she using a restricted royal protocol access code to book presidential suites and get backstage clearance? And why did the digital bees guest list for the Dior show include the name Catherine Elizabeth Windsor? What started as an online mix-up quickly turned into one of the most severe violations of royal identity rules in recent years. And according to private files, our investigation team looked at it, might be the final straw in the palace's long, rocky history with Meghan Markle. Sources on the Dior event crew, speaking on condition of total secrecy, confirmed that the guest in question pulled up in a private SUV, flanked by a two-man security detail and a female publicist listed as M. Arvella. Her face was hidden behind huge sunglasses and a hat pulled low, but the moment she walked into the lobby, she took off the gear, showing a face that looked incredibly familiar. One backstage manager noted she looked just like Catherine, at least at first glance. Elegant, quiet, possessing that calm poise the princess is famous for. But something didn't sit right. The makeup was too heavy, and the way she worked, the cameras felt staged. Within hours, the rumors caught fire. Influencers hyped up the idea that Catherine had sneaked off for a solo glam trip. Fashion blogs called it a genius move of silent branding. A single grainy photo showing the woman from behind in a structured white Dior coat sparked hundreds of articles. Back in the UK, the royal press office at Kensington Palace was drowning in media inquiries. Is the Princess of Wales in Paris? Is this a quiet rebrand? Why? Isn't anyone speaking? The palace stayed mum, for now. But behind closed doors, panic was setting in. Less than 12 hours after, the story broke. Online top aides at Buckingham Palace started auditing access records from the royal protocol. Archives, or RPA, a secure database the royal household uses to assign travel passes special diplomatic permissions and security arrangements for high-ranking royals. According to leaked snippets, our team analyzed a Class B royal access code assigned to HRH. The Princess of Wales was used to reserve a luxury suite at Hotel Plaza Athen. That same code, RPA 119CEW, was flagged later at the Dior security gate and cross-referenced by their internal team to confirm the ID. Basically, someone had either faked or illegally used a royal family digital pass to pose as Catherine at one of the year's most scrutinized luxury gatherings. At the same time, while royal staffers were combing the logs and legal teams were talking to the French Foreign Ministry, tabloid sleuths started doing their thing, tracking locations. That's when the timeline started matching up, in a scary way. On December 18th, Meghan Markle was snapped getting on a private jet in Van Nuys, California. No flight plan was publicly filed, but aviation geeks confirmed the jet touched down in Paris-Le Bourget. On December 19th, paparazzi outside the plaza, Athen caught a glimpse of a mystery woman leaving in Dior couture with a glam squad. On December 20th, Meghan's personal stylist uploaded and then quickly scrubbed a picture from Dior HQ captioned, "Backstage. Perfection for our Lady in White number, confidential winter 25." And on December 21st, a famous French reporter posted on X. The woman in the Dior front row wasn't Catherine. The luxury scene in France knows the truth, and they are livid. By December 23rd, Buckingham Palace couldn't stay quiet any longer. Insiders say Princess Anne personally suggested King Charles, the Third Order, an internal review of all royal travel passes and clear up the rising public mess. Sources claim Prince William was angry beyond words but suggested holding back until every detail was verified. Catherine, meanwhile, kept up with her public duties and didn't say a word. But, privately, a staffer allegedly spilled to a BBC reporter. It isn't the copycat act that devastated the princess, but the fact that the public actually bought into the charade. Ultimately, this went way beyond snagging a front-row spot. It was a strategic theft of persona wrapped in high fashion and targeting the very heart of the prosthetic monarchy's icon of elegance and class. And as we'd find out, this was merely the opening act. What started as a runway riddle fast became a major international blunder. Once the palace commissioned a quiet investigation on December 23rd, the facts emerged rapidly, fueled largely by the ruthless nature of the internet. On December 24th, a vanished Reddit post labeled, "I worked Meghan's Paris squad ask me anything" blew up instantly. The unnamed poster, alleging to be an ex-contract publicist, shared a detailed timeline of Operation Paris, covering the staged arrival at Dior the dress, prep in a VIP room, and worst of all, the intentional exploitation of royal fashion protocols. "I was brought on, temporarily," the user wrote. "My role was to manufacture a regal vibe. We rehearsed camera angles to mimic Catherine's look. We even hired makeup pros who'd previously styled Kate Middleton. The whole plan was to spark press chaos silently." Images of the discussion flew across X, TikTok, and monarchy message boards. The takeaway was obvious. This wasn't a fluke. It was a calculated maneuver, designed to hype up a secret new high-end brand launch. By the night of December 25th, Dior's attorneys circulated a memo blacklisting Meghan Markle from every upcoming gala runway and tailoring session, an MAR, unheard of step, verified by 3 separate style editors and a leaked internal document. On the day after Christmas, Dior's leadership convened a secret video call with top liaisons and influencers to manage the damage. Several sources stated that Bernard Arnault, LVMH's boss, was irate that the brand got pulled into what looked like a fraud scheme. High fashion relies on subtlety, a style. Reporter noted that Meghan's deliberate attempt to smudge the boundary between herself and a key royal figure wasn't merely tacky. It was risky. It exposes brands to lawsuits and political strain. Thanks for tuning in. What's worse, the Dior entry pass, RPA 119 CEW, linked back to a halted royal staffer, a person who briefly handled digital comms during Meghan and Harry's last stint as active members. This finding hinted at both advanced planning and an inside job. An individual near the royal cyber safety grid was breached. Ironically, December 26th, celebrated as Boxing Day in the UK, was also the day King Charles got a confidential red packet from Princess Anne, holding a note penned by Queen Elizabeth II prior to her death. Insiders aware of the text say the late monarch predicted situations where rogue actors might fake royal status for profit and added a secret order that such offenses result in total stripping of all titles, roles, and perks. That document, previously locked away at Windsor, suddenly held massive significance. Anne recommended releasing it. By December 27th, a top Kensington aide outlined a formal media plan, while William, embarrassed by the mockery of his spouse, demanded a full review of every lingering security, clearance possessed by ex-family members. Amidst the chaos, Princess Catherine stayed poised yet privately, crushed. A close contact revealed she isn't egocentric but watching someone attempt to steal her. Image for a publicity stunt, hurt, bad. Moving on. Meghan Markle, however, has remained publicly silent. No rebuttal. No explanation, no lawyer letters. Her team hasn't replied to inquiries, and her main Archewell feeds went silent from December 21st to the 29th. Yet in Hollywood circles, rumors hint at trouble. A source near a big streaming giant disclosed that Meghan was negotiating a royal-style cosmetic deal with a high-end brand, which is now on hold because of her supposed moral breach in Paris. She figured she could outsmart the palace, the contact noted. But she just got frozen out by everyone. As Meghan's team stayed quiet, the firm was getting ready to respond not with anger, but with perfect bureaucratic precision. On December 29th, a secret crisis meeting occurred. At Clarence House, led by Princess Anne, attended by lawyers from the Lord Chamberlain's department and a pair of King Charles's top aides. The agenda was obvious: illegal royal impersonation and its impact on foreign ties where everyone stands in the family and the public's faith. Insiders close to the talks say Princess Anne pushed for a classy, symbolic clapback that honored the crown. Thanks for tuning in and hang tight as we dive in. This wasn't about getting even. It was about setting things right. Later that day, Prince William and Princess Catherine huddled with their PR squad at Adelaide Cottage right near Windsor. They were all on the same page. Catherine wouldn't say a word to the press. Instead, her look, her poise, and her silence would do the talking. Every move she made from then on would be calculated, seen by everyone, and purely royal. On December 30th, the Wales crew showed up unannounced at St. Mary Magdalene Church near Sandringham with Princess Charlotte and Prince George in tow. Catherine looked stunning in a custom sapphire coat by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen. It echoed the cut of that controversial Dior outfit Meghan wore, but this was high-end, majestic, and the real deal. Pinned gently to her collar was Queen Elizabeth II's diamond thistle brooch, a piece usually saved for Scottish trips and moments of serious royal authority. The signal was quiet, but brutal. Catherine wasn't acting like just the Princess of Wales. She was the monarchy's living answer to any fake royals. Fashion writers all over Europe caught the vibe instantly. The Daily Telegraph went with the headline, "The Original Returns." In France, Le Figaro noted, "No Dior here," Catherine responds in silence. She didn't need the label. Her silence said it all. But this was more than just a photo op. What people didn't see was a formal palace statement written on December 28th, ready to deliver a heavy blow. The draft called out the Dior situation as a huge violation of the ethical lines between ex-royals and working members, and clarified that only those with actual authority can represent the crown when it comes to protocol looks and official style. But at the last minute, King Charles ordered the statement killed. His thinking, don't dignify the damage with words. Let their actions reveal who they are. Princess Anne was on board but had a backup plan. If Meghan denied it or tried to blame the palace, they'd release the statement within 24 hours, backed up by files from the Royal Fashion Archive proving they warned the Sussex team back in May 2023. As of January 1st, that file is still sealed, but it's definitely not forgotten. Cameras caught a quiet moment outside St. Mary Magdalene. That said it all. As the family headed back to their car, Prince George, just 11 years old, leaned in and whispered to his mom. Lip readers later confirmed he said, "You looked just like her." "Mom, but not really. She looked like you." That clip blew up all over social media with the hashtag #TheTrueQueen. It really rallied the public, especially younger fans who were getting sick of Meghan's staged outings. This wasn't about a fashion play anymore. It was about the soul of the monarchy and who actually represented it honestly. By January, second-top royals started quietly, cutting any last ties with the Sussexes. Duchess Sophie, Catherine's close friend behind the scenes, asked to have Meghan's name pulled from a Commonwealth charity gala coming up in March. Prince Edward, officially, turned down a meeting with a Netflix crew linked to Archewell Productions. But Princess Anne delivered the hardest hit. She ordered a review of all royal symbols and clothing, badges used when Meghan was a working royal, to see if they were being used without permission in ads or public content. This wasn't just for show. It was a legal audit with the full support of the royal trust. If Meghan's move in December was supposed to make her relevant again, it backfired. Catherine's silence turned into a shield. Anne's attention to detail became a barrier. William's calm became a warning. And King Charles, despite his health struggles, was crystal clear when he sent a brief memo to the Lord Chamberlain. From now on, all royal-style rules, including official colors and brooch symbols, are considered protected parts of the sovereign identity. Copying them without permission will be seen as a breach of royal ethics. The monarchy made its point, not with drama or noise, but with sheer power. On the quiet morning of the 4th of January, 2026, as holiday decor was coming down at Sandringham, a car with tinted windows slipped into the south entrance of Buckingham Palace. Inside was Princess Anne clutching a thin, red leather folder that hadn't seen the light of day since spring of 2021. Known to insiders as the monarch's Archive Addendum 7C, it held documents covering all the restrictions on royal branding and wardrobe, regulations plus personal notes on fashion etiquette involving messages swapped between the late Queen Elizabeth II and the Sussex team about appropriate attire after the split. The red file, previously thought dead and buried, was active again, powered by Anne's sheer determination. 3 days prior, the legal team at Dior had contacted the palace through a secure line inquiring if Meghan Markle's latest look in that unofficial royal-adjacent outfit had any official backing. Their message sounded anxious, maybe even panicked. They were terrified of getting dragged into a political or legal nightmare. Insiders claim the response was instant. 0. Sanction was granted. We view that look as a distortion of our legacy. It is not how we operate. That answer rattled the French designers, not only due to the possible backlash, but because it suggested the monarchy was readying a serious counterattack. Anne knew the stakes involved. Meghan was treading on thin ice, turning fashion into a weapon, twisting public perception, using specific colors, cuts, and shapes. This wasn't just clothing. It was a battle of narratives. Sources inside the palace say the red file held at least 5 secret memos sent to Meghan Markle from March 2020 to June 2021. One was a May 2020 note from Queen Elizabeth herself asking that specific ceremonial colors and dress codes worn by working royals not be copied for private business or foreign trips. Thank you. Standards of service remain standing. Then a July 2020 internal legal memo cautioning the Sussexes that copying royal accessories like brooches, sashes, or headgear linked to state occasions could violate ethical standards. An August 2021 warning from Princess Anne came after Meghan sported a look-alike green dress in New York, mirroring Queen Elizabeth's Balmoral look from the Jubilee. Meghan had been warned repeatedly, using terms much sterner and more official than the public realized. On January 5th, at a private sit-down with the Privy Council's Ethics Board, Princess Anne gave the most blunt statement of her life. The crown isn't a costume. It isn't for rent, and it won't be copied to sell products. Those 12 words said with her usual grit rippled through royal networks and were later printed word for word by the Times of London. During that session, King Charles gave Anne the green light to send one last notice, a royal protocol. Compliance letter to the Sussex team's lawyer in California. The directive was crystal clear. Stop all unapproved dressing that looks like royal branding. Pull down any ads, or videos showing these misleading looks. Confirm you got this within 72 hours, or deal with a public correction from the palace. The document went out at 6 p.m. GMT January 5th, flagged as priority. Per several leaked reports, Meghan's lawyers panicked when the letter landed. In just hours, Archewell PR took down promo content linked to her new lifestyle brand. Partners went quiet. Unpaid fashion aides and advisors started gossiping to the press. One insider told the Daily Express, they assumed the palace wouldn't react, that Catherine would keep mum, and that Anne was swamped. They were mistaken. Even more telling, Dior scrubbed Meghan's name from an upcoming winter ad blitz. No reason was offered, but the signal was loud. The game had shifted. By January 6th, even Meghan's devoted media friends in Hollywood started retracting their support. A headline in a gossip rag read, "Too far, royal double causes outrage." The freeze-out was starting, and it wouldn't be undone. Just when the drama seemed to peak, King Charles III made a subtle but final move. On January 6th, at a private gathering at Highgrove, he allegedly told some Commonwealth diplomats, "We don't loan the crown's prestige to people who ditch its rules. That isn't cruel. That is responsibility." Minutes later, that quote leaked and hit every big newspaper in Britain. The Crown had answered not with theatrics, but with clarity. And over in Montecito, the quiet wasn't tactical anymore. It was about surviving. As the palace's last note hit Montecito on the night of January 5th, a chill, colder than the California fog, blanketed the Sussex home. But what came next wasn't merely symbolic. It was bureaucratic, calculated, and by all royal measures permanent. On the 6th of January 2026, a memo was quietly lodged with the Crown Records Office and the Home Office's Royal Affairs Unit. The header was blunt: revocation of honorary ranks and styling rights, Sussex branch. The royal shutout had started, and this time no PR, firm, or Spotify deal could halt it. Behind the scenes, it was Princess Anne and Princess Catherine who led the biggest shift in royal limits seen in decades. Backed by a dedicated consulting group dubbed the Integrity Council, they wasted no time executing a three-stage tartan strategy called the Name Review, examining every single time the Sussexes leveraged their status after 2021 for marketing merchandise or causes, particularly if it suggested royal endorsement. The optic offense log, a freshly built digital file containing promo pictures, product glams, freeze frames, and online updates where the couple adopted a regal aesthetic, frequently utilizing calculated lighting, specific jewelry placement, or outfits reminiscent of the monarchy. The Heritage Protection Rule, a measure introduced by Princess Anne in 2022, allowing the Crown to pull back or restrict official perks whenever behavior significantly damages the institution's reputation. Ironclad steps. This wasn't about getting even, it was protocol. Precisely at 10 in the morning London time on January 7th, Royal Communications team dropped a strictly lawyered statement. After a comprehensive assessment, the King, working alongside the Integrity Council, verifies the immediate termination of all active naming rights, honorific usage, and dynastic assertions pertaining to the Sussex pair and their direct offspring. This move highlights the monarchy's dedication to transparency, respect, and guardianship of the public image. To put it simply, the children would lose the prince and princess labels. The Sussex Duke and Duchess handles were getting pulled from circulation, with compliance managed by global media and diplomatic rulebooks. The response was lightning fast. In mere hours, Meghan's camp fired back a rebuttal, meticulously phrased and heavy with sentiment. A label does not define a woman's influence. Meghan, still claiming her title, plans to keep empowering females globally via empathy, foresight, and innovation. Yet, there was a glitch. The specific term, Duchess, vanished from their main header only 30 minutes afterward. The lawyers had clearly stepped in. At the same time, the streaming giant shelved a planned lifestyle feature while the fashion house silently moved a promo spot that was whispered to star her as their international face. All at once, staying quiet felt less risky than showing support. A Hollywood source joked to the trades. The royals didn't merely strip the names. They made any connection toxic. Appreciate you tuning in. So where was the prince while this fell apart? Neighbors in Montecito claim he was seen solo rocking a ball cap and shades hiking with his hound near the coast. Zero bodyguards. Zero cameras, just the vibe of a guy trapped between two crumbling realities. Across the pond in London, the heir handled the issue with icy precision at a closed-door meal with top advisors and foreign diplomats. We aren't banishing anyone, we're organizing. And organization saves the institution when emotions falter. His statement hit the news wires not as gossip but as a strategic brief. The next monarch had etched his boundary, and he wasn't budging. Come midnight on the 7th, major search platforms like Google and the wiki pages had refreshed to show the new reality. Prince Archie became Archie Mountbatten Windsor. Princess Lilibet became Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. As for the Sussex titles, marked as discontinued, it was likely the quickest brand wipe in the citas. Internet age. On the official site, a fresh disclaimer sat under their bios. Does not possess working status or official duties removed from the heir list. Even the historic registers kept by Oxford scholars, since 1863 placed stars next to their entries. The subtext was brutal. They aren't part of the narrative. In a unique, the display of unity, the Queen Consort was heard, commending Catherine for navigating the public side of the lockout with class and total composure. This praise from someone usually rumored to clash with her indicated a serious truce, as a source claimed. The family is exhausted by the theatrics, and Kate is the solution. The firm, usually slow to act, was now striking first, and people noticed. The aftermath of the King's délevé. Official cancellation of the Sussex titles was rapid, brutal, and for the former actress, totally alienating. While the UK papers printed victorious headlines celebrating the clean slate, the US press switched from interest to careful separation. What used to be a money-making image relying on royal ties and defiance was now irrelevant. Yet within the palace walls, something was shifting. A fresh era started. In the week after the January 7th ruling, Kate's approval ratings skyrocketed, not for looking good, but for staying quiet. She released 0 comments. She gave 0 sit-downs. Yet her calendar was full of heavy-hitting work, visiting therapy centers, pediatric care units, and delivering a strong keynote at a female executive summit, standing confident in a dark blazer without a tiara or sash. She simply said, "Legacy isn't inherited, it's earned every single day." The crowd erupted into applause. For the first time since Diana passed, the crown had an icon by choice, not by tragedy. Back in California, Arkewell's inner circle was falling apart. 2 key board members, a media strategist and a philanthropic, lead quietly resigned by January 9th, citing internal clashes and concerns about reputation, liability. On January 10th, a major U.S. retailer pulled a high-profile holiday partnership with Meghan's home line, noting, in a memo leaked to Ad Age, that post-title revocation any product tied to royal hints was a lawsuit risk. Harry was getting dragged 24/7. Even Spotify execs still sore from the fallout of the audio silence. Scandal issued a formal clarification. No current Sussex projects are in the works. For Meghan, who had once stood beside Beyoncé, Oprah, and Serena, as a woman of modern reinvention, the silence was loud. One Hollywood producer summed it up harshly. The fairy tale's over. What's left isn't royalty, it's reality. Now it's just sad and desperate. On January 11th, Prince Harry broke his silence with a frantic live stream, a 15-minute Instagram live tagged #FamilyTruth, where he insisted titles don't make character and claimed the palace was scared of his freedom to speak. The video peaked at 600,000 viewers before getting flagged for privacy violations. It was later taken down, but not before a crushing counterstrike. The next morning, Prince William's private secretary released a single-line statement. The Crown does not respond to threats, it protects the people. The firm's institutional tone signaled there was no room for negotiation. Harry had played his last card and it was ignored. Across, the UK support for the Wales family surged. Over 120,000 people signed a digital letter to Parliament demanding that future education syllabi include a Catherine principle, a case study on grace under pressure, and the preservation of duty. Major newspapers ran headlines like Catherine the Steady Flame of Windsor, while Anne Edward and Sophie the Quiet Royals were now leading loudly. Harry and Meghan the brand that overreached. Outside Buckingham Palace, supporters placed fresh white roses beneath the Queen's statue, each with handwritten notes thanking Catherine and William for keeping the line clean. It wasn't about scandal anymore, it was about succession. On the evening of January 12th, King Charles III issued one final memo to the Privy Council and Foreign Commonwealth. Office, all styling protocol and funding related to the Sussex line is hereby retired indefinitely. This is not a punishment. It is a restoration. May future generations see this as a safeguard, not a slight. Then in a rare, unscripted remark, at Windsor, we must live in the truth, even if others prefer illusion. Make no mistake, insiders confirmed the king had no intention of revisiting the Sussex question. No second chances, no title reactivation. One palace aide put it plainly, Charles finally became king not when he was crowned, but when he drew the line. The 13th of January 2026. The final symbolic blow didn't come from London, but from Montecito itself. Paparazzi captured. Meghan alone stepping into a black SUV. No kids in sight, no Harry, just a binder in hand and a bodyguard trailing behind. Online speculation ran wild. But that same day, Princess Catherine attended a quiet family ceremony at Sandringham. She knelt beside a memorial tree planted in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. Her children stood with her, George, Charlotte, and Louis, all in muted navy coats. As snow gently fell, a royal photographer captured the image that would go viral. Catherine gloveless, placing her bare hand on the tree's bark. Her expression was calm. Not victorious, not triumphant, but resolute. From Montecito to Westminster, the message is clear. The line of succession now stands unchallenged. The royal brand is under lock and key. The era of ambiguity is over. And for those who once thought titles were tools, the Crown has issued its ultimate rebuttal. Titles are sacred, not for sale, not for leverage, and never ever for show.